Niccolò Machiavelli understood one terrifying truth about human nature. The world is not ruled by the kind, but by those who understand power. History remembers kings, conquerors, and strategists not because they were moral, but because they knew how people really think. This video is not about becoming evil. It's about becoming untouchable. Because when people play dirty, innocence alone will not save you. Strategy will. So here are 7 Machiavelli rules to use when someone tries to manipulate, disrespect, or destroy you. Rule 1. Never react emotionally. The first mistake weak people make when someone plays dirty is reacting too fast. The moment you get angry, offended, desperate, or defensive, you hand control of the situation to the other person. And manipulators understand this better than anyone. They provoke you on purpose. Not because they are stronger than you, but because emotional people become predictable. Think carefully about how most conflicts begin. A disrespect, fool comment, a betrayal, a lie, a public humiliation. The average person reacts instantly. They raise their voice. They send emotional messages. They try to explain themselves. They panic. And in that exact moment, they expose every weakness they have. Machiavelli understood something dangerous about human nature. People reveal themselves under emotional pressure. That is why powerful people remain calm, even when they are attacked. Because calmness is terrifying. When you refuse to react emotionally, you force the other person into uncertainty. They cannot read you. They cannot predict your next move. And when people cannot predict you, they begin to fear you. Silence after disrespect creates psychological pressure. A controlled face during betrayal creates confusion. Emotional discipline makes manipulators uncomfortable because their strategy depends on controlling your reactions. Most people think power is aggression. It is not. Real power is restraint. Anyone can scream, Nobody can lose control. Anyone can act tough when emotions explode. But very few people can remain composed while being tested, insulted, or manipulated. And that composure changes the entire balance of power. Because the person who controls their emotions controls the situation. Rule 2. Hide your intentions. One of the greatest advantages you can ever have over people is unpredictability. The moment people understand your plans, your emotions, or your next move, they begin preparing against you. They adjust. They manipulate. They interfere. And sometimes they destroy opportunities before you even reach them. This is why Machiavelli warned against revealing too much. Because the world listens more carefully than you think. Weak people announce everything. They reveal their ambitions too early. They talk about their goals before achieving them. They expose their strategies, their emotions, even their revenge. And by doing this, they unknowingly give power to enemies, competitors, and jealous observers. But powerful people move differently. They observe more than they speak. They let people underestimate them. They smile without revealing their thoughts. They remain calm while secretly planning their next move. And because nobody fully understands them, nobody knows how to stop them. Mystery creates psychological dominance. When people cannot read your intentions, they become cautious around you. They start guessing, overthinking, watching your every move. Uncertainty creates tension, and tension creates power. This is why silence is often more dangerous than words. A manipulator cannot manipulate what they cannot predict. And remember this carefully. Not everyone asking about your plans is supporting you. Some people collect information only to measure your weaknesses. Some secretly hope you fail. Others simply want to stay one step ahead of you. That is why strategic people speak less and accomplish more. Because hidden intentions protect power. Rule 3. Use silence as a weapon. Most people are terrified of silence. They rush to explain themselves. They fill every quiet moment with unnecessary words. They defend, justify, and react because silence makes them uncomfortable. But Machiavelli understood something that most people never learn. Silence is not weakness. Silence is psychological pressure. When someone insults you and you immediately react, you give them satisfaction. You show them they reached your emotions. But when you remain silent, something strange happens. The power shifts. Now they begin questioning themselves. They wonder what you are thinking. They wonder if you know something they don't. They start replaying the conversation in their mind, searching for a reaction that never came. Silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty is torture for manipulative people. Because manipulators survive through emotional control. They want your anger, your fear, your desperate explanations. They want proof that you can influence your state of mind. But when they face calm silence instead, their confidence begins to crack. Notice how powerful people rarely over-explain themselves. They speak slowly, carefully, sometimes not at all. Because every unnecessary word leaks information. Every emotional reaction reveals weakness, and every moment of silence increases tension. There is also another dangerous truth about silence. It forces people to reveal themselves. The more silent you become, the more the other person talks. They begin exposing insecurities, lies, frustrations, and hidden intentions simply because they cannot tolerate the discomfort of silence. This is why silence in negotiation is powerful. Silence during disrespect is intimidating. Silence after betrayal is unforgettable. The loudest person in the room often has the least control. But the person who can remain silent under pressure usually controls the entire game. Rule 4. Make them underestimate you. One of the most dangerous, gorgeous advantages you can ever have is being underestimated. Arrogant people are predictable. The moment they believe you are weak, harmless, inexperienced, or incapable, they lower their guard. They stop paying attention. They become careless, and that carelessness creates opportunity. Machiavelli understood that appearing powerful all the time can sometimes create resistance. People become defensive around obvious strength. They prepare for it. They unite against it. But when you appear calm, quiet, or even underestimated, people expose themselves naturally. They reveal their true intentions because they think you are too blind to notice. They disrespect you because they assume there will be no consequences. They talk too much because they think they are smarter than you. And in their arrogance, they hand you information, leverage, and psychological control. This is why strategic people do not always rush to prove themselves. Weak people are obsessed with showing power. Powerful people are obsessed with preserving it. There is a reason experienced predators move silently before they attack. Noise destroys advantage. Ego destroys patience. The need to constantly impress others often reveals insecurity, not strength. Sometimes the smartest move is allowing people to believe they have already won. Let them think you are unaware. Let them think you are incapable. Let them think they control the situation. Because people become reckless when they feel superior. And the more reckless they become, the easier they are to defeat. History is filled with powerful individuals who lost everything because they underestimated quiet opponents. They mocked them, ignored them, dismissed them, until suddenly the person they overlooked became the greatest threat in the room. Never interrupt an enemy while they are exposing their own weakness through arrogance. Rule 5. Control the narrative. Power is not only about what happens, it is about who controls the story. Afterward, Machiavelli understood that people rarely see reality clearly. Most people do not investigate deeply. They believe appearances. They follow confidence. They accept the version of events repeated most convincingly. And manipulative people know this very well. That is why when they betray someone, they often play the victim first. When they lie, they speak with confidence. When they attack, they disguise it as concern. Because perception shapes judgment more than truth itself. This is why intelligent people never ignore the importance of narrative. If someone disrespects you publicly and you remain silent for too long, others may assume weakness. If someone spreads lies about you and controls the conversation first, people begin forming opinions before you even speak. The person who defines the story often controls the outcome. This does not mean becoming fake. It means understanding psychology. Strong people protect their reputation because reputation influences opportunity, trust, alliances, and influence. Once people see you as weak, unstable, or powerless, they begin treating you differently, even if the perception is false. That is why strategic individuals remain careful with their image. They do not overshare emotions publicly. They do not allow enemies to define them. They respond with precision, not desperation. And most importantly, they understand that appearances affect human behavior. Look at history, politics, business, even social circles. The people with the most influence are often not the most truthful. They are the ones who mastered perception. Because human beings are emotional creatures before they are logical ones. People believe what feels convincing. They follow what appears strong. They trust what is repeated confidently. And if you fail to control your narrative, someone else will gladly control it for you. Rule 6: punish strategically, not emotionally. When someone betrays, humiliates, or manipulates you, the first instinct is emotional revenge. You want immediate satisfaction. You want them to feel the pain they caused you. And that emotional impulse is exactly why most people destroy themselves while trying to destroy others. Machiavelli understood that revenge without strategy is weakness disguised as power. Emotional retaliation is sloppy. It exposes your anger, your impatience, and your lack of control. It makes you predictable. And predictable people are easy to defeat. Think about how many people ruin their reputation because they reacted too quickly. Angry messages, public outbursts, desperate confrontations. They may feel powerful for a moment, but in reality, they reveal emotional instability. Strategic punishment works differently. It is calm, precise, calculated. The purpose is not emotional release. The purpose is consequence. Powerful people understand timing. Sometimes the strongest response is not immediate confrontation, but patience. Because time exposes weakness. Time creates opportunities, and patient people often strike when the other person feels safest. That is what makes strategic consequences terrifying. They are unexpected, cold, controlled, and unforgettable. Machiavelli warned rulers never to deliver half measures against enemies, because weak punishment invites repeated disrespect. If people believe they can betray you without consequences, they lose fear. And once fear disappears, manipulation increases. But strategic people do not waste energy attacking everyone emotionally. They choose carefully. They protect their image. They stay composed while quietly repositioning power in their favor. Sometimes punishment is silence. Sometimes it is distance. Sometimes it is removing access, influence, trust, or opportunity. And sometimes the most devastating revenge is success itself, because nothing frustrates toxic people more than realizing they failed to break you. The dangerous person is never the loudest one. It is the calm person who remembers everything and reacts with precision instead of emotion. Rule 7: detach from approval. The easiest person to control is the one desperate to be liked. The moment your happiness depends on approval, attention, validation, or acceptance from others, you become vulnerable. People can manipulate you with praise, control you with rejection, silence you with criticism. And many toxic individuals understand this psychological weakness better than you realize. Machiavelli understood that power begins the moment you stop living for other people's opinions. Because most people are trapped. They fear judgment. They fear being disliked. They fear disappointing others so deeply that they betray themselves just to maintain acceptance. They stay silent when disrespected. They tolerate manipulation to avoid conflict. They constantly explain themselves because they need everyone to understand them. And in that desperation for approval, they slowly lose their identity.